This is a flipped video I've made for my 5th graders. You're going to learn about maps, which are very fun. Some things we're going to talk about in this video are a review of the oceans and continents, the prime meridian and the equator, hemispheres, lines of latitude and longitude, and finally, practice using lines of latitude and longitude. In order to locate places on our planet, we need to name its largest features. Water covers nearly 3/4 of Earth's surface. The largest bodies of water are oceans. The large land areas that cover the rest of the Earth are the continents. Find the oceans on the map. This is really just one big body of water, but geographers usually divide it into 4 oceans. Some geographers actually divide it into 5 oceans. They are the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. And some geographers even call this area here the Southern Ocean. Geographers identify 7 continents. From the largest to smallest, they are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. Europe and Asia are actually parts of one huge landmass that is sometimes called Eurasia. But geographers usually think of Europe and Asia as 2 continents because they have different cultures and histories. Take a minute to answer the following multiple choice questions. See if you can remember which ocean is which and which continent is which. Here are a few challenge questions for you. Using that same map, your brain, and maybe the internet, see if you can find the Mediterranean Sea, the Tasman Sea, and the Weddell Sea. Don't worry, I'll give you some hints. And yes, that is how you spell it. Here's a hint to help you find the Mediterranean Sea. I hope you recognize those continents. Here's a hint to help you find the Weddell Sea. You might not recognize this continent because we don't usually see it in this perspective. Here's your last hint. Can you find the Tasman Sea? Here's another challenge question. What's the difference between Australia and Oceania? This is how a lot of Americans see Australia, especially ones that love Finding Nemo. Take a look at this map. Are you able to figure out the difference between Australia and Oceania? A hemisphere is half of a globe or sphere. In geography, a hemisphere is half of planet Earth. Geographers recognize 2 sets of hemispheres on Earth. One set is the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. The other set is the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. Find the equator on this globe. The equator divides Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres. North of the equator lies the northern hemisphere. Makes sense, doesn't it? South of the equator lies the southern hemisphere. These are also views of the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, but we're looking at them through a new perspective. Can you tell me which is the northern hemisphere and which is the southern hemisphere? Now find the prime meridian on this globe. It separates the eastern and western hemispheres. To the east of the prime meridian lies the eastern hemisphere. while the western hemisphere lies to the west of the prime meridian. You can see that the world is broken up into 4 quadrants. The northwest hemisphere, the northeast hemisphere, the southwest hemisphere, and the southeast hemisphere. You can also see the equator and the prime meridian. But what are these other lines? Some are straight, some are curvy, some go east to west, and some go north to south. Map makers draw horizontal and vertical lines around the globe to help us locate places on Earth. The horizontal lines are parallels of latitude. The verticals are meridians of longitude. Both are measured in degrees. This globe shows how parallels of latitude ring the globe horizontally. Find the equator. It's at 0 degrees. Did you find it? Now find the South Pole. It is 90 degrees south latitude, written as 90 degrees south. All of the parallels south of the equator are south latitude. Similarly, the North Pole is 90 degrees north latitude. And it's written like this. All parallels north of the equator are north latitude. You can remember it like this. The lines of latitude look similar to the rungs of a ladder. Ladder, latitude. Or you could remember it like latitude equals fatitude. Tie a belt around that waist in the equator. This globe shows how meridians of longitude divide the globe in vertical sections between the north and south poles. Find the prime meridian. It is 0 degrees longitude. Here it is. On the opposite side of the globe is the meridian of 180 degrees. East and west of the prime meridian are 179 degrees of longitude. The prime meridian is noted as 0 degrees longitude, and it runs through many countries. One city that it runs through is Greenwich, England, and this is a picture of a marker denoting the prime meridian running through England. You can actually stand in the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere if you straddle that line. What do you think this is a map of? What do the blue countries represent? What do the red countries represent? The global grid shows both lines of latitude and of longitude. You can locate the global address or absolute location of any place on Earth by finding where its degrees of latitude and longitude cross. For example, the location of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, is 23 degrees south and 44 degrees west. These numbers are called coordinates, and latitude always comes first. To find the coordinates of a place, first locate it on a map. Next, look up and down to find the degrees of latitude. You may have to estimate if the place is between 2 parallels on a map. Then look left and right to find the degree of longitude. Again, you may need to estimate if the place is between 2 meridians. You did a great job answering these questions. Congratulations! You're all done! Finally. Ugh.